states that any object that is completely or partially submerged in a fluid at rest is acted on by an upward or buoyant force. The magnitude of this force is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the object. The volume of fluid displaced is equal to the volume of the portion of the object submerged. The equation for Archimedes' principle is the buoyant force equals the density of fluid times the volume of the object submerged times the force of gravity. In our first set of experiments, we examined how different masses affect the volume displaced in the measuring cup and the weight of the submerged object.
In this first experiment, we lowered a magnet into 600 milliliters of colored water. Before being submerged, the magnet and the dish weighed a little more than 2 newtons. After submersion, the water rose to about 700 milliliters, displacing 110 milliliters of water. Afterwards, the weight was 1.3 newtons, about 0.8 newtons less than the original weight.
In the second experiment, we used a candle to demonstrate Archimedes' principle. It weighed about 3.7 newtons before being submerged into the water, and the water was at 600 milliliters. But after submersion, the water climbed to about 780 milliliters, displacing about 180 milliliters in the process. And while being submerged, the total weight of the candle was about 2 newtons.
In the next experiment, we lowered Ross's keys into 600 milliliters of colored water. Before being submerged, the keys and the dish together weighed 3.9 newtons. After submersion, the water rose to about 780 milliliters, displacing 180 milliliters of water. Afterwards, the weight was 2.4 newtons, about 1.5 newtons less than the original weight.
In our second experiment, we used a lock-end key, and on the scale, it weighed about 4 newtons before being submerged. Also, the green water we were using was still at 600 milliliters before being submerged. But after submersion, the water went up to about 720 milliliters, 120 more than it was at before. And the total weight of the lock and key went down to 3.1 newtons. Hold on.
Mirror shot!
Good. In this experiment, you will see how much water Johanna, a 111-pound female, displaces when she gets into the bathtub.
Oh, crap. Magic marker! Ross weighs 186 pounds. Obviously, a lot more than I do. Since he weighs more than I do, when he steps into the bathtub, he displaces a greater amount of water than me.